Welcome back to Just Between Us, Couch Show. I'm Allison Raskin, and I now have a master's in psychology.
Hey, I'm Gabe Dunn, and I don't. But I do have a list of terms.
So this week in honor of my graduation from what felt like the longest master's program possible.
What was it, like 3 years?
Over 3.5.
Is that normal?
Well, I took it slow. I
Yeah.
took it slow, and I also took 8 classes I didn't need to take because I switched programs.
Right.
That was on me. But in a lot of ways, that's where I learned the most in those classes.
Sure. Well, we're going to find out.
Okay, great. So I asked Gabe to quiz me to see if this master's was worth it and how well I actually know psychology.
Okay. I'm worried that I chose ones that aren't. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't have a master's, so hopefully you know about these.
And you have the answers?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I wrote down.
Otherwise, I'm just giving everyone fake information with no fact checking.
No, I wrote down the answers.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I'm really nervous.
First one.
Uh-huh.
And these were ones that I've personally found interesting.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Hindsight bias.
Oh, that when you look back, you think that you made the right decision because you've already made the decision, so you want to commit to it.
Tendency to believe after learning the outcome that we would have predicted it beforehand.
Well, I was talking more, I guess I don't know hindsight bias, but I know that there's a tendency for people to feel more confident in their decisions after they've made them.
Yeah.
Whether or not it was the right decision, because they're like, they're attached to what they chose, so then they want to feel good about it. I may be talking about something different, but it's a similar idea.
Yeah.
I'm more talking about decisions than just predicting things that were outside of our control.
What is flooding?
It's flooding, I believe, is a part of a type of exposure therapy where you're exposed to the thing that you're afraid of in an extreme amount. And so it's like, it's not a gradual like increase. Mm-hmm. It's like all at once, and it's incredibly overwhelming, and there's a lot of controversy around it.
I was going to say, does it work?
I don't like that approach. I like when you are increasing your exposures over time and building up tolerance that way, rather than like the extreme exposure all at once. So like throwing you into a pit of snakes when you hate snakes. But the idea is that like you can't maintain that level of anxiety forever. So at a certain point during this thing that you're so afraid of, you will calm down.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that works?
I think exposure therapy works. I'm not a fan of flooding. But I was right though.
Yeah.
This is such a rush for me.
Oh, I'm so glad. What is behaviorism?
Oh, behaviorism is like this theory in psychology about like the way that people behave. It's kind of the idea of like responses. Mm-hmm. So like, you know, like if like how you would train a dog, right? That you would like tell a dog like, okay, if you sit, then you get a treat. And so then they learn that like this causes that. And so then they'll do the thing to get that. And then there's also ways that you can do it with negative enforcements. So people won't want to do certain things because they know something bad will happen, or something good that they like will be taken away from them. So it's like changing people's behavior through rewards and punishment.
It sounds very basic. Like it says you do it without appealing to thoughts or feelings. You're just doing it with like.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's really like the basis of like dog training, but we also like, we'll also use it, you know, on kids and humans, right? So it's like, okay, if you're going to throw a temper tantrum, then I'm going to take away your Game Boy.
Yeah.
Is behaviorism.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah, it does say humans and animals, and it really felt very animalistic to me. Okay, what is in-group and out-group?
And my guess is like an in-group would be like Jewish people are an in-group, and then non-Jewish people are an out-group, and you're much more likely to feel connected and aligned with people that you consider to be in your group than people you see as outsiders. But it can work in all different ways. Like it could be like, you know, we're the 6th graders and you guys are the 7th graders. Right. Like the definition of the group can vary vastly.
Yes.
Does that seem right?
Yes, that is right.
Okay. My heart is racing.
This one's really interesting. Okay. The Hawthorne effect.
Oh, I don't know if I know that one. Can I have a clue?
Can I just tell you what it is? Because I thought it was really interesting.
Sure.
And you could speak on it.
Sure.
If you know you're being studied, you would act differently.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So that's like a whole thing in terms of like empirical studies and research. So like there's studies where like obviously you know that you're being studied because you're like in a lab. A lot of times you won't actually know what part is being studied about you so as not to influence your change of behavior.
Oh, interesting. So they'll ask you like a bunch of different questions so that you don't know what exactly the question is.
Well, like a great example, which is I think pretty unethical, is that like famous study where the person was told to keep administering pain to the person in the other room.
Yeah, is that Milgram?
Yeah, Milgram, and it was the subjects were told that it was a study about like pain and learning, and that it was really about the other person that was being studied, when really they were being studied about how much they would listen to authority. And so, there's a lot of ethics involved in like research studies and like what you can tell, what you can't tell, but you try to tell as little as possible so as not to change the participants' behavior.
Spooky.
And then there are also studies that are just observational, but those are kind of harder to like actually figure out the cause and effect because you're not controlling, and there's no like sample population that has something different than the other population.
So it's really easy to just make research around what you already believe.
That's the whole thing, right? It's like you go into research with a hypothesis, and then you're either trying to see if the hypothesis is true.
Right.
And like a good scientist or a good, clinician or researcher is trying to see if it's true, not try to prove that it's true.
Right, which like makes me think that a lot of people are like, oh, well, I don't want to look foolish, or I want to use this to be able to do something, so I have to make sure that, or oh, this is a more interesting outcome that will get me more attention.
Yeah, I think a lot of research studies are pretty flawed and misleading, and there's people that can make the data seem more significant than it actually is, and all these things. Yeah. So like when you see like a headline and it's like one research study proves this, dive in a little bit. How many people were actually interviewed? Were they all the same? Was it, like, is this generalizable? That's a huge question in research. Is the findings we found in this study generalizable to the general population? Or is it really just applicable to white college students because those are the only people that were involved in the research?
Right. I often see stuff that's like LGBTQ, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, we polled 40 people.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Okay, interesting. This one, I know what it is already. What is transference?
Oh, transference is like when you will basically place a feeling you have for someone else onto somebody else, and it will happen in therapy a lot of times. So like maybe you will like transfer your feelings towards your father onto your feelings for your therapist. So it's like kind of important to know when you're doing that.
Yeah.
Did I define that correctly?
Yes, you did. It reminds me of triangulation.
Well, triangulation is more like when like parents and a kid have a fucked up three-way relationship, rather than like the parents being a dyad that like are parents to a child.
Right. Like when I'm sure this is relatable, when your mom is like, your dad said this. And you're like, come on.
I don't know if that's transference though, but it's
triangulation.
Triangulation, yeah.
Norm crystallization.
When there's a norm on how people behave, then more people do it. I don't know.
The expectations of a group of individuals converges into a common perspective as they talk and carry out activities together. So the more time you spend, which kind of makes me think about juries.
Oh,
like the more time you spend with them, the more you're like, I guess we should all think the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, like the power of a group is pretty astonishing.
I worry about juries and pressure. Like I understand a jury of your peers, but I don't know that you can ever have people who are completely unbiased.
No, you can't. I'm more worried, honestly, about witness statements than juries.
Yeah.
Because memory is a fickle thing.
That's what you've learned.
How am I doing, you think?
Good.
Do I sound like I know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you do. You sound like, the fact that you could come up with what that could be just based on the words is pretty good. Determinism.
Whew. You're giving me tough, obscure things.
Okay.
What is it, though? I want to learn.
Oh, okay.
Can I have a hint?
It's fairly just easy. It's like all events, physical, behavioral, and mental, are determined by specific causal factors that are potentially knowable.
There's arguments that like, and I was like kind of returning to behaviorism, that like there is no free will.
What?
Yeah. That like.
What do you mean?
That like we are all responding to things in a way that is like kind of predetermined.
What?
I think so.
Do you believe that?
No.
Okay.
I feel like I got in an argument in one of my classes about it.
Write in, listeners. Do you think there's free will? That's the sort of light stuff we cover here on Just Between Us.
Do you feel like I'm different than when I started the program?
I feel like you have more terms for what you want to write about.
Mm,
Like I feel like it's inspired you
yeah.
to have more observations about other people or observations about yourself that you're like, oh, that's what that is. And then you can like write about it more clearly.
Yeah. I also feel like I'm less confident in everything, which I think is maybe a good thing. Like one of my favorite professors was like, anyone who's certain about anything is someone not to be trusted.
Like cult leaders.
Yeah, like, and also just because psychology is like, it's much more like an art than a science. And so, like, to determine that, like, yes, this is the thing that is true for every single person in every
Exactly.
single situation is like, we really can't be certain about things. We can't be certain about how the brain works in a lot of ways, about why therapy works. Like, we're still very much figuring this all out.
And things can change.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
But so many people don't think that. So many people are like, my science found this, and that's the end of it.
And it's that the earth is flat.
Yeah. Here comes your parents.
Well, Papa!